Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast. Industry leaders share their insights. It's a couple of questions in less than 9 minutes because hackers never sleep. So let's get right to it. First question is the easiest one you'll have all day, Jeff. What do you do? What's your name? And why are you awesome?
Why am I awesome? Well, I don't know if we have enough time for that, but let me give you the short version. I'm Jeff Majka. I'm the founder of the Security Bulldog. We lower costs and speed remediation time for enterprise security teams using an AI-powered intelligence platform that we developed and launched 3 years ago. So I'm pretty awesome in that I'm doing more and more podcasts this year, and I'm getting a taste for them. So my awesomeness is increasing, and now that I'm on.
I love it. I love it. We appreciate that. I'm going to jump right in with an easy little layup question for you. I think I know where you're going to take it, but please take it anywhere you want. Are there any emerging technologies, trends, or approaches that you're super excited about?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of high level ones. I think that there's a move towards integrating a whole bunch of disparate kind of tools and applications and roles in cybersecurity into something that's a little bit more holistic. We kind of come in at it. I think people are starting to think a little bit about how those operations work and how human beings work in those operations, and that a lot of what we do is kind of like a manual, kludgy, human being centric thing. And how do we clean that up and make it faster and quicker? And that thinking more holistically about, the time that it takes a team to do things and the outcome, the impact that it has on their risk management, sort of high level outcomes of business cases around cybersecurity, rather than, hey, there's a problem, here's a tool, let's just deploy a bunch of tools and maybe they don't talk to each other as much. So I think people are thinking a little bit more abstractly about how to operationalize and then improve those operations, which I think is really, really interesting and kind of like a new way of looking at it.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of that because you mentioned something kind of earlier on there. Most people think about cybersecurity from what great technology is there? How can I use artificial intelligence? I understand that automation is important. I understand that operationally we need to do that, but why are humans still important in cybersecurity?
Well, I mean, cybersecurity is a human being problem, right? We created a network that was by design to be insecure, and we've spent trillions of dollars in 60 years to try to secure it. And so, and add on to the fact that human beings hate delayed gratification, and cybersecurity sort of fits in the box of, saving money for tomorrow and not eating cake and, all the things that human beings are terrible at. So when we think about, cybersecurity, we kind of created the problem and we're kind of the barrier to fixing the problem. So again, when we think about how do we move the needle in cybersecurity in some real way, we have to work with human nature, not against it, and because that's never going to change. So, I think that when we think about how do we set up these processes, we need to understand that, human beings are bad at some things and they're good at other things. And, from our perspective, artificial intelligence is really good at finding a needle and a stack of needles and doing large amounts of, drudgery. Some of that can be automated. Some of them can't be automated. And when it can, it needs to be kicked out to the human beings. And human beings need to do what they do well, which is talk to other human beings and puzzle solve, right? We're there to solve the puzzles that can't be automated or can't be AI'd, in that perspective. So when I think of cybersecurity, for me, it's 100% a human story, not a technology, not a technology.
Awesome. What are some common misconceptions about cybersecurity that you often encounter?
I think that, I think within cybersecurity, I think there's a misconception that, everybody's kind of heads down in their individual roles and they aren't sort of talking with each other. But I think there is a lot of conversations, a lot of frustration within the community about, everything that we've been doing for the past 20, 30 years, obviously hasn't really worked, right? So like, how do we break out of that box? It's not really a misconception, but like, how do we break out of that box and rethink it from, like I said, a more basic principles kind of way of, okay, we have this problem. How do we manage it? How do we manage these risks in a situation where, it's going to continue to evolve exponentially worse, right? The attackers and the defenders are going to continue to play their cat and mouse game. And how do we stay ahead of that, again, in a more process driven rather than in a reactive kind of way?
So if you could give a piece of advice, what do you think is a critical aspect of a robust cybersecurity strategy?
Yeah, and again, I think that cybersecurity strategy, is kind of an ecosystem now. and thinking about it from the, from the bottom up and the top down, and thinking about, the processes of how do we speed up that process, and when you think about a lot of the manual kludgy work and the things that take longer than they should to happen. And again, like thinking about your strategy from the ecosystem of tools that you have and the roles that you have from a top-down risk management perspective of how do you integrate those things? How do you get from, the basic processes of what happened? Does it affect me and my team? And if it does, what do we do about it? Right? How do we get through that logical gating process as quickly as possible, so that you can get those answers? Which is, there's only three true answers to any cybersecurity problem, right? It's a problem, but it's an easily fixed problem, or it's a problem that's really, really hard to fix, or it's a problem there's no way to fix it, right? And those are the three true outcomes of a cybersecurity incident or reaction or whatever it may happen to be. And you never know which day that's going to be, right? Nobody in the industry has any idea that this Tuesday could be one of the easy ones, or this Tuesday is going to be, something in the last 3 years. And so I think about thinking about how we put into place processes and an ecosystem of tools and skill sets that you have to deal with all of that in a flexible way that can be, continuously improved.
Jeff, this is the final fun question. What piece of technology that you can't live without it?
I'd like to say the Security Bulldog, which is an AI-powered cybersecurity intelligence platform that does all the work that I don't want to do. And at the risk of plugging it, what is the super dirty secret of cybersecurity like, right? Everybody's doing Boolean searches into web browsers for hours and hours. Right? This is a dumb. And again, human beings tend not to be the smartest species on the planet, or the universe for that matter. So I think that, using artificial intelligence in a smart way to proactively do things that, human beings are bad at and take a lot of time, from a productivity standpoint. Not only is it just, hey, and do work faster, it also, the human mind's not set up to do a lot of the work that cybersecurity practitioners have to do, right? Scanning large amounts of information very quickly. The working memory of a human being is 7. So if you're looking to go through 200 things in your sim on a particular day, that's just not how your brain's going to work, right? You're going to get burnt out, and you're not going to be you're not going to be working as productive as you possibly can. So I think that, AI now is an integral part of what I do as a business founder. And it should be for everybody everywhere, but especially in cybersecurity, because time is such a huge factor in cybersecurity. Saving an hour or two, or minutes even, can be so critically important to getting the job and managing the risk.
Jeff, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Thanks very much, Rick. I've enjoyed it very much. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.